Hello everyone, welcome back to the chapter Consolidation of Soil. In the previous classes, we have discussed regarding the theory of consolidation and its process, what are the stages of consolidation and its mechanism. Now we are going to study type of clay deposits. Why we are going to study only the clay deposit type? Why not coarse grain soil? During last class we have discussed that consolidation means the expulsion of water from the voids of soil due to prolonged static load. In case of coarse grain soil, normally the amount of voids are much more as compared to the fine grain soil. Since coarse grain soil have much higher void ratio in compared to the fine grain soil, the expulsion of water from the voids can be done very easily, as the coarse grain soil are much more permeable than fine grain soil. Hence, water retentivity or water retention capacity of fine grain soil is much more than coarse grain soil. So, removing the water from the voids of the fine grain soil is of utmost importance as compared to the coarse grain soil. Hence, consolidation mainly is carried out for the fine grain soil such as clay or silt. So here we will discuss what are the types of clay deposits that are being found or the type of soil where consolidation can be carried out. In the natural process of deposition, fine grain soils like silt and clay undergoes the process of consolidation under their own weight of overburden pressure. A state of equilibrium is reached after several years or after certain time, and the compression ceases or the compression get reduced. This process continues season after season, and sometimes erosion or removal of overburden takes place, and sometimes the process of consolidation may continuously takes place due to frequent deposition. So anything might happen. Consolidation can be a continuous process or it can be interrupted by some natural phenomena. So anything can happen to a natural deposit. So it is evident that the clay soil deposit exists in the field under different conditions. So here we can easily say that the soil which are found naturally may exist under different condition, and their stress history should be known before starting the consolidation. So what are the types of clay that can be achieved? The first is the normally consolidated clay. What is normally consolidated clay? If the present effective overburden pressure of the deposit is maximum pressure to which the deposit has ever been consolidated at any time in the past, such deposit is known as normally consolidated clay deposit. There is no reliable procedure available to us for the prediction of the effective stress or void ratio relationship, but the field relationship for the void ratio and effective stress has been obtained from undisturbed soil sample. So in this graph, there is a relationship between void ratio and effective stress for normally consolidated soil. So according to the E and log P, this graph consists of void ratio and the effective stress in logarithmic scale. So according to the shape of this graph, it is strongly influenced depending on the degree of disturbances of the soil. So increase in the degree of disturbances generally flatten the curve, but the straight line portion of the curve converges to a lower void ratio. So if we can see the graph, the first graph here, this is a compression curve where we can see that when there is a increment in void ratio while the pressure is very less, so the void ratio continuously halts or come to very smaller amount as we are increasing the value of the effective pressure. After certain time, if we release the pressure, the void ratio tends to bounce back, and that period is known as the unloading period. And again, after applying the load, that is during the reloading period, again the same curve follows the same pattern, that is after increasing the effective stress of the soil, the void ratio goes on decreasing. And you can see in the next curve, that is the first one is the virgin curve, that is the type of curve where no other stress has been applied. Again, in the second portion of the curve, you can see this is an undisturbed sample, or the sample which has not been exposed to any sort of loading. And the middle one represents the disturbed sample. That means the sample which has been disturbed from its natural state, and the last one is the completely remolded sample. That means what happens gradually, if we see that from the virgin to undisturbed to disturbed and completely remolded sample, there is a decrement in void ratio, and the pattern of the curve normally changes while increasing the effective stress of the soil. So this is the property of a normally consolidated clay. So here are some assumptions related to normally consolidated clay. Shetterman in the year 1955 assumed that the straight line portion of the field curve or the laboratory curve coincides with the value 0.42 E naught. That is, the field void ratio may be taken equal to the initial void ratio at the start of the test. And for normally consolidated clays, the pre-consolidation pressure is equal to the effective overburden pressure. And this is not the case in the deposits which are subjected to thixotropic, secondary compression or cementation effect. As we have studied in previously soil mechanics 1, what do you mean by thixotropy or cementation effect, that has already been studied. So the undisturbed compression curve is known as virgin compression curve, and the values of the coefficient of compression or the coefficient of volume change can be obtained from the virgin compression curve, which we will discuss in the afterward or later classes. Based on this curve, Terzaghi and Peck, they proposed an empirical solution for the coefficient of compression as 0.099 water content minus 10%. So we will discuss about it later in the upcoming classes. The second one is known as over-consolidated clay. What is over-consolidated clay? So a clay deposit that has been fully consolidated under a pressure in the past larger than the present overburden pressure, this is known as over-consolidated clay. Or it can be also known as pre-consolidated or pre-compressed clay deposit. And the ratio, that is PC minus P naught by P naught, is known as over-consolidation ratio. So we can give a simple example of this over-consolidated clay. That is, suppose a soil which we want to do consolidation. This soil has been under a huge rock. So we are collecting a sample from the bottom of that rock, and if we apply the pressure or any kind of overburden pressure to that soil, we can see that there will be no change in void ratio for that type of sample. Why is that so? Because previously the sample has already been exposed to a huge amount of pressure, that is the pressure of the rock, which is greater than the present overburden pressure. Hence this type of soil is known as over consolidated clay, and for this we can find out the over consolidation ratio, that is the difference, that is it's a ratio of difference between the previous pressure and the present pressure divided by the present pressure. So these are the combination of loads through which over-consolidation may occur. The first one is pressure due to overburden which have been removed, that is erosion or due to removal of an old structure. Glacial ice sheets that has been disappeared. Sustained seepage forces may be there. Tectonic forces caused due to movement in the earth's crust or fluctuation in water table. So this is the curve for over consolidated soil, that is E versus log P curve for over consolidated soil. Next we are coming to under consolidated clay. So we have gone through normally consolidated soil, over consolidated soil, and now we are coming to under consolidated clay. So what is under consolidated clay? Normally the rapid natural deposition or deposits under recently filling may or may not be consolidated under the present overburden pressure. Such clays are known as under consolidated clay. In such cases, PC is less than P0. Obviously, the present pressure is much more than the previous pressure that the sample has been subjected to. That cases are known as under consolidated soil, and the structures constructed on this deposit will cause additional compression. So no specific procedure is available to get the in situ EP curve. However, for all the practical purposes, this may be treated as normally consolidated soil for calculating the settlement. So here is the graph where it is shown that the E versus log P curve where the effect of overburden and the effect of structure shows the total reduction in void ratio while increment in load. So these are the different type of soil samples which are subjected to consolidation. So next we are coming to pre-consolidation pressure in soil. So what do you mean by pre-consolidation pressure? The maximum pressure to which an over-consolidated soil has been subjected in the past is known as pre-consolidation pressure or the over-consolidation pressure. So when the soil sample is taken from any sort of natural deposits, the weight of the overlying material or the overburden is normally removed. So this causes an expansion of the soil due to reduction in pressure. So thus the specimen is generally pre-consolidated or over-consolidated. When the specimen is loaded in the consolidation test, the initial portion AB of the compression curve ABCD is actually a recompression curve. That means we were discussing on the part that is this curve. If ABCD, we can see the E versus log P curve where ABCD is a compression curve, that is E versus log P, that is in a certain amount of initially when we will give a certain amount of pressure to the soil, we can see that the void ratio is much more. So as we keeps on increasing the pressure, we can see there is a reduction in the void ratio. So which curve is known as recompression curve? Let us go to the previous curve. See here in this curve we can see that increasing the pressure increases the void ratio, but there is a certain glitch or there is a certain backward portion of the curve where this is reducing or there is expansion occurring. This expansion occur after the removal of the load. Again the curve takes a similar pattern. So this similar pattern curve is known as recompression curve, and this is a recompressed soil. So in the transition range BC, the slope gradually changes. The pre-consolidation pressure can fall in this range. So if we see here in this curve, see the portion CE, here only the pre-consolidation pressure can be formed from this portion of the curve. So how can it be measured? The pre-consolidation curve, pre-consolidation pressure can be measured from Casagrande method. So how the Casagrande method can be executed? So we have to determine, suppose this is a curve which is ABCD. ABCD is a curve we have obtained from E versus log P graph. So in this curve we have to determine the point E where the curvature is maximum, that is the radius of the curvature is minimum. So here we can see we have found a point E where there is the maximum curvature here. what has happened? So from E we have to draw a tangent. We have to draw a tangent, that is EF. We can easily see in the figure that EF is a tangent that has been drawn. So we are again drawing a horizontal line EG which is parallel to the log P line. Have you seen it in the drawing that this is a line EG which has been drawn parallelly to the line of log P or the x-axis graph. Then we have to bisect the angle between the EF and EG. See, here we have got the angle GEF. So we will bisect the angle GEF, and this bisector line is known as EH. We can see the bisector line is EH. Okay, this is EH. So in the CD line we will produce a straight line from the curve CD. See, the curve is ABCD. So from the CD curve we will draw a straight line which will cut the bisector EH. So here we are getting a point K. So here we are getting a point K where this line CD is bisecting the line EH. We are getting a curve over there. And what happened? We have to draw a vertical line PJ through which it cuts log P axis curve at J. See, we have to draw a line KJ which cuts the x-axis line at J. So from this point J we are obtaining the value of PC, that is pre-consolidation pressure. So here this is the procedure for finding out the pre-consolidation pressure of the soil. So next we are going to the Terzaghis theory for one-dimensional consolidation. What is about Terzaghis theory regarding one-dimensional consolidation? In order to compute the amount of consolidation, or we can say that the settlement, after a certain given time t, Terzaghi evolved a theory which considers the fact that consolidation is directly based upon the expulsion of the pore water. That means how much pore water is expulsing from the soil sample, and from that process we can easily found that how the consolidation is occurring or how the consolidation is taking place. So before starting this theory, we have to go through some assumptions. So Terzaghi made some assumptions regarding the consolidation theory. So let us go through the assumptions. So for the assumption, the first assumption is that the soil must be homogeneous. That means the physical properties of the soil must be same throughout. The second is the void spaces are completely filled with water. So in this case we have to assume the soil must be completely saturated. That is, there is no air that is present in the soil sample. The soil solids and water are incompressible. So we have to consider that water as well as soil solid cannot be compressed, or these are completely incompressible. Here the Darcy's law is valid. So again, what is Darcy's law? And we have already studied in the chapter called permeability of the soil in the previous soil mechanics 1 unit, that the velocity or the speed through which a fluid or any liquid pass through any soil sample is known as its permeability. And we have got the relationship, that is discharge equals to K into I into A. That is where K is the coefficient of permeability, I is the hydraulic gradient, and A is the area of cross section. So for this theory, Terzaghi's, we have to consider that the Darcy's law is valid in this case. The seepage flow and deformation are one-dimensional direction. So we have to consider for this formula that the seepage flow and the deformation will occur in one dimension only. Next, the strain are small. So the strain that is going to occur must be small. The permeability is constant over the range of effective stresses. That means the value of the permeability will be constant throughout the wide range of effective stresses. If we increase the effective stress or decrease the effective stress, there will be no change in the permeability of the soil. And there is a unique pressure-void ratio relationship. That is, the coefficient of compressibility is constant. So as we have gone through the E versus log P curve, we have seen that from this curve we have found out the coefficient of compressibility, and that value will be constant throughout. And the time lag in consolidation is entirely due to the low permeability of the soil. And we have considered this theory only for the soil which are having low permeability, that is the fine grained soil, the clay or the silt. So this theory is valid for fine grained soil or the soil which have very less permeability. So let us go to the Zagi's theory. So in this theory we can easily see that we have a soil sample whose depth is 2D, and a small element of the clay layer has been taken into consideration, which is cubical in shape and which is situated at a depth of Z from the ground level. So it has been subjected to the pressure from its everywhere, from its surrounding, and we must compute what are the consolidation we are getting from this diagram. So we are considering the soil cube, and this is a one-dimensional theory. So we will assume that the water flowing through this cube only in one direction, that is in the z-axis. So we will assume that water is flowing through the z-axis, as this is a one-dimensional consolidation theory. So the quantity of water flowing into the cube in time dt. So normally the quantity of water we have to measure flowing into the cube in time dt, that is given by v into dx into dy into dt, where v is the flow velocity, dx and dy is the area through which the flow is occurring. So if this is the z direction, this is the x and this is the y, so dx and dy are the sides through which the water is flowing. Similarly, the quantity of water flowing out of the cube. So this is the quantity of water flowing in the cube, that is v into dt into dx into dy, but for the quantity of water which is flowing out of the cube is given by v plus dv dz into dz into dx into dy into dt. So this is the quantity of water that is flowing out of the cube. And if capital V represents the volume of the soil mass, then we can easily write capital V is equals to dx into dy into dz, as this represents the mass of the soil, the volume of the soil rather. Thus the rate of change of volume is given by delta V by delta T, and the change in volume is given by delta V by delta T into dt. So this change in volume normally occurs due to the difference in the quantity of water entering and carrying out of the cube. So therefore there is a difference in water that is entering and leaving. Therefore the quantity of water entering minus the quantity of water leaving out is equal to the change in volume. So here we can easily write that v into dx dy dt minus v plus del v del z into dz into dx dy dt equal to del v del t into dt. So from here we can easily compute that del v del z is equal to minus 1 by v del v by del z. So y minus minus sign indicates that there is a decrease in volume while the water flows out of the soil sample. But we again know that v equals to vs into 1 plus e, where vd is the volume of the solid and e is the void ratio. We already know, previously we have studied, then delta v by dt equals to vd into del e dt. From here we can compute that del v del t is equals to v by 1 plus c into del e del t. So substituting this above value in equation 3, that the previous equation, we can easily get that del v by del z is equal to minus of 1 by 1 plus c del e del t. So del E del T is a change in void ratio. So the change in void ratio occurs with the transfer of the load to the soil grains by the expulsion of the water from the voids, with a simultaneously decrease in the excess pore pressure. So this change in parameter can easily be connected by the equation, that is AB equals to del E by del P, where del E equals to AV into delta U bar. So using the differential equation, we can easily say that the delta E is equal to AV into delta U. So rate of change in void ratio, that the delta E by delta T equals to EV into delta U by delta T, and substituting this value in the previous equation, we can easily find delta V by delta Z equals to minus 1 by E into AV into delta U by delta T. When the excess pore water pressure is U bar and the head of water is given as gamma w into u bar, and the hydraulic gradient is given by minus 1 by gamma w delta u bar by delta z. Why the minus sign? Because the pore pressure is decreasing with decreasing the distance or the depth of the soil sample. Then as the Darcy's law is valid for the soil sample, we can easily say that P equals to K into I. Hence, will V equals to minus K into 1 by gamma W into delta U bar by delta Z, and differentiating the equation we can get delta V by delta Z equals to minus K into 1 by gamma W delta to U by del Z2. So from this two equation, by equating this two equation, we can get a form that is delta U bar by delta T equals to CV into delta U bar by del Z2. This is a very important equation. This is the most important equation which indicates the Terzaghi one-dimensional consolidation theory. And this CV is nothing but another constant which is also known as coefficient of consolidation, and its value is given by K divided by mv into gamma w, and we have the units as meter square per second. Hence we are obtaining a relationship from here, that is K equals to CV into mv into gamma w. So here we have obtained the Terzaghi one-dimensional consolidation theory. And during the next class, we will study about how this consolidation being carried out in the lab and what are the properties we can find out from consolidation.